Hello everyone. So today I want to talk about a video I saw today. It's called What Games Like in the 90s, and I have something to say about it. That it was similar times to what it was similar times to what it was in the 2000s. Anyways.
In the 90s? Well, the short answer is it was amazing. What was it like gaming in the 90s? Well, the short answer is it was amazing, incredible, quite simply magical. But the real answer, it was something you had to feel to understand. See, gaming in the 90s was about discovery, wonder, and excitement. Why today, we're used to waiting 5+ years for a sequel to a video game that plays and looks almost identical to the one before it. In the 90s, things moved much faster.
Games still improve and they look different. Like, look at Mario Kart World versus Mario Kart 8. But anyways, I know what you're talking about with games taking shorter to make.
Technology didn't crawl forward, it leaped. We went from 16-bit to 32 to 64 in what felt like a blink of an eye. We saw games transition from flat 2D pixels to full-blown 3D worlds that felt limitless. New genres and franchises popped up every week. Every trip to the store was a quest, a chance to discover something completely new. Yes, sometimes it was a dud, like Superman 64, but other times, we would find a game so incredible you couldn't stop talking about it at school. Something so epic that it no longer felt like a video game. Instead, it felt like an epic odyssey. The 90s had some rituals basically every kid from that time period got to experience. Like going to Blockbuster on a Friday night, pacing up and down the aisle, searching for that new.
Well, I got to go Blockbuster too, and that was the early 2000s. Like, I remember the early 2000s. I got to go in the Blockbuster, and I remember I went to a few games. There was a Sonic Adventure 2, Mario Golf, and Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. All those games, my favorite out of them all was Four Swords Adventures. But yeah, you know, what he's describing feels very similar to what I grew up with in the 2000s.
Game you'd obsess over all weekend long. By the way, have you ever gone back and watched some of those old Blockbuster commercials? They were so 90s, they almost feel like a parody of the 90s.
But get real, you'd rather be playing video games. You can rent them from Blockbuster. They've got more of the coolest new Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis games for rent than anyone in the world. So dudes, why not get your games at Blockbuster? It's the mature thing.
And thank God for places like Blockbuster, because let's be real, in the 90s, games were expensive. As a kid, unless you had some sort of secret trust fund or you were Richie Rich, you probably weren't buying a new game every week. If you were lucky, you got 2 games a year, one on your birthday and one on Christmas. And if you were really lucky, you might have got a new video game console.
I remember that video. And there's still magic to that. Like, you still see kids opening up video game consoles and liking that stuff.
Now, to anyone out there who didn't live through the 90s, that probably sounds like torture level bad. Only 2 games a year? But here's the thing, it wasn't. Because back then, things were just...
I got more than 2 games a year, to be honest. Now, I didn't get as many games as I get these days, but... But yeah...
It's different. No one actually called themselves a gamer. We were just kids who played games.
But I did call myself a gamer. We did. But whatever, you know, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Games. Being a gamer was not our entire identity. Believe it or not,
Well, it kind of was for me, but
we actually spent a lot of time outside, playing street hockey, riding our bikes, seeing as far as we could go. There was only one simple rule. When the streetlights came on, it was time to go home. We would come up with ridiculous backyard adventures. Battlefield, Call of Duty, our version of those games was running around with Nerf guns.
It's Nerf or nothing.
You might go days
now here's what I want to say. That part didn't happen with me. At least, the whole part about going outside unsupervised and being able to go wherever I wanted, like, that didn't happen. I don't know why, but I mean, I guess it's probably because of the place I was in. But anyways, what I want to say is, why does he have to brag about that? Like, as a kid, it wasn't a big deal that I didn't get to do that, but now looking back, like, wow, that sounds pretty fun. But I did get to play some games outside. Like, me and my brother would go outside and pretend to be video game characters, and me and my friends would sometimes play water gun fights, as much to my dismay of getting my clothes wet. But yeah,
without touching your console, or spending an entire Christmas break glued to the screen, jotting down notes, passwords, and mapping out dungeons. It didn't matter. The entire gaming culture was just different. In the 90s, the world felt small in the sense that your neighborhood was your entire world. A game could be 5 years old, yet when you finally discovered it, it felt new.
True.
It wasn't solved yet.
It's like me. Like, I remember when I was a kid, sometimes I got old games, and they felt like I could still play them today. Like Super Mario Bros. 3, for example.
Still had mystery. You didn't have to worry about scrolling Twitter and having spoilers posted the very day it came out.
True.
And that was for everything. How
But if that's the case, do you have Twitter right now? Because if you like it better with all of that stuff, maybe you should actually like get off Twitter and get off of the internet if you really feel like life is better without all that stuff. But I get it, it's addicting.
the time now, I can't even go online without having Netflix posting the ending of a TV show that hasn't even released yet. Back then, there was no FOMO, no daily login rewards, no timed events, no battle passes to grind. Video games were just pure fun, on your terms when you wanted it. Back then, multiplayer meant walking to your friend's house, knocking on the door, and asking, "Hey, can you play?" By the way, it's kind of funny that before the internet really popped off, video games actually felt more social. It wasn't about...
I disagree. We can cheer just as social today because I do invite some friends over to play video games sometimes.
headsets or online lobbies where no one talked or just screamed into the mic. It was about gathering around someone's house, everyone piling onto the same couch, controllers tangled, snacks everywhere. Sometimes we would hold our very own Mortal Kombat.
Happened. Like if we were to eat snacks, we'd eat at the table. Like
Bloodsport tournament.
oh.
Kung Lao wins. Fatality.
Other times, we'd be playing Mario Kart, racing down the track, as we did our best not to fall off Rainbow Road. The other kids in your neighborhood that played games as well, they became basically brothers or sisters.
Yeah.
Sure, there was still some console war tension. I mean, how could there not be when we had marketing like this blasting on the television?
16-bit sports action.
Good.
And it wasn't just the social aspect that made this time so special.
Yeah.
Discovering your next solo adventure was his own kind of magic.
No, I said that way today. Like, I play a game, I'm thinking, oh my god, what I'm gonna play next. Like I can't get Terminator 2D. That game is gonna rock my world.
Imagine this. You walk into the store, and there's a game box on the shelf that you know nothing about. But for some reason, it just catches your eye.
And sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's good, but this guy's only saying how good it is. But
The cover art calls to you. And by some miracle, your parents actually buy you it. That's right.
yeah, I got the GameCube back in April of 2003.
A new game. And it's not Christmas or your birthday. It's just a random Tuesday. Then, in the car ride home, pure anticipation. Because you're sitting in the back seat reading the game manual. Cover
Yeah, I do miss that part though. Like, they should have game manuals.
to cover. Yeah, back in the 90s, games actually came with manuals. Thick ones, with story intros, bios, and sometimes even maps. And when you got
Whoa.
home and booted it up, just by the game's startup screen, there were times where you knew you were about to play something truly special.
Yeah, just like when I played Donkey Kong Bonanza. I knew I was gonna play that game and it was special, but there are some parts I don't like about it. Like, I don't like when you get like to 1,000 feet, like I just want the game to end already, but I don't know, it's just they tease it. But anyways, enough about that. Chrono Trigger.
It didn't matter if it was a JRPG masterpiece like Chrono Trigger, or if it was a PC revolution like Doom. A good game was a good game, and when you found one, it felt like you striked gold.
Yeah.
These were the games you would get lost in all weekend long. And come Monday morning, you were actually excited to go to school because you couldn't wait to tell.
Well, some people are excited to go to school. Sometimes. I mean, it depends on your social life.
Everyone about your latest find. Remember, in the early 90s, the internet wasn't really a thing yet. It was, but it wasn't widely available. So when you found the latest, hottest release, or a game that was sitting on a shelf for 5 years, if you were the first kid to find it, it was like groundbreaking news. And the excitement would spread like wildfire to all of your friends. And then, of course, there was the arcade.
Time
And this
out.
was a beast
What were you
all of its
doing?
own. If you walked into one of these places with a couple bucks in your pocket, you felt like a king. I remember
Yeah, I remember my mom would give me $1 or $2, just like $1, $2, and that'd be enough for me to just play my games at this pizza place. Pizza Roma, it was called. But I remember in class one time I heard a guy said he got $20. I was thinking, oh my god, that's so much money. And it is. Like, you get so many coins from $20. When I finally, spent my $20, I remember, back in 2021, I went to an arcade at the Boardwalk and I had $20 and I had a lot of fun. But it did start to get, how I say it, due to my OCD, I had to pick certain games in certain orders. It really sucked. That part. But what was good was I was playing old games and new games.
there was always certain cabinets that had a massive crowd around them. Games like Street Fighter 2.
Oh, I remember when there were these two guys that played this gun game. I forget what it was called. It was the light gun game. It was the one where you got to shoot at humans. I know, I'm sure if I see it, I'll know, I can point it out, but like basically, there's certain guys that you shoot and there's certain people you don't shoot, like innocents versus, like innocent people versus criminals. And like I couldn't beat that game in 1 or 2 credits, but I remember we saw these older people playing, and they and they beat the whole game, and it was amazing to see somebody at an arcade game.
Kids would line up and put quarters down to hold their next place in line so they could all take turns trying to down the local champ. And then, of course, there was spectators, the ones just standing around, eyes glued to the screen, watching 2 players battle it out.
I'd like to see what would happen if the Electric Underground went to an arcade and if he played like Malsugan did in 1 credit. I wonder if anyone would gather around him and play.
If you think about it, this was sort of the first version of Twitch, except you were actually there. You could feel the excitement. You joined in on the cheers, the trash talk, the debates. Everything was happening right in front of you, and you were a part of it. But it wasn't just fighting games. There were other corners of the arcade that were always crowded. Pinball machines, air hockey tables, even old school Pac-Man cabinets somehow never lost their appeal to a mass audience. And then there was...
Still don't. Like, the first thing I see at the arcade at the arcades, like Dave & Buster's and Ron 1 is like Pac-Man.
My personal favorites, the beat 'em ups, X-Men, Cadillac and Dinosaurs, Ninja Turtles, Aliens vs. Predator, and who could forget the Simpsons arcade game?
Ooh, I don't like the Simpsons arcade game. I just feel like it's weird. I feel like the Simpsons arcade game, like, it's good gameplay wise, but it's like it just doesn't make sense.
It was a crazy time. If 3 people happened to be at this arcade, you could jump in as the 4th player. And immediately, all 4 of you felt like you were best friends, as if you knew each other for years. In the arcade, it didn't matter if you were black, white, Mexican, Asian,
Sometimes it did. Not when I was a kid, but like, I'm sure in certain places, some people said, oh, you can't play, I'm sure some people like were being racist, so you know we can't play this color. But anyway,
or female, none of it really mattered. The arcade
females, I heard that they were sometimes looked down upon, but I didn't really see that. In fact, I rarely saw females at arcades.
It was just a great equalizer. Your skill, personality, or your jokes. That's all that really counted.
I'm back. What happened was my internet went out. Anyways, look, Resident Evil.
Whether you were exploring the Spencer Mansion and discovering the dark secrets of Umbrella and Resident Evil, or playing Metal Gear Solid, and for the first time in your life, it actually
That's
felt like you were
Metal Gear
playing a
Solid.
movie in video game format. Not to mention other titles like Ocarina of Time, let you explore Hyrule like you have never had before. These weren't just games, they were moments that
Yeah.
would change gaming
And
history
games
forever. And in the late 90s, it wasn't just about these new consoles and new graphics. Something else came along that became more widely spread and popular. The internet. Yeah, it was weird and clunky, but it was magical in its own way. You could log on and just explore. Try to
I didn't use it until like 2006 with gaming, and that was just for DDR. Then 2007, I started to use the internet more often with Pokemon Battle Revolution and Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Mario Kart Wii.
discover if all those gaming rumors you've heard in the past were actually true. Is there a secret cow level in Diablo? Let's go find out. And it wasn't just collecting knowledge about past games. You could even play games online, like StarCraft or Unreal Tournament. And when you logged off, it was different back then. Back then, when you signed offline, you were just back in the real world. There was no cell phone in your pocket or smartwatch.
You can still make that today. Just don't bring your cell phone. We'll get a flip phone
on your wrist. Everything just felt so new. There was always some new mystery on the horizon. A new game, a new console, a new world to explore and discover. Now, I know. I'm looking back in time through rose-tinted glasses. The decade definitely had its
I like to hear from an adult who was in the 90s. Like, I like to hear someone who was an adult in the 90s, like an older person, about what gaming was like. I'm just curious. Like, that'd be really cool.
just like every other time period. But if you were a kid back then, you felt it. That spark and sense of wonder. And honestly, I think that's what I miss most. It wasn't just newer games, but everything just felt like it had a sense of mystery and discovery to it. The world felt small, but the possibilities felt endless. And while I have grown up, and I have a family and a career, and actually a pretty happy life, I will always cherish my childhood memories. And hopefully, I always stay young at heart.
Okay. So anyways, that's it for this video. Bye.